So how are you folks doing today? So it is my time, I guess it's Tuesday night. So we have officially left the Great Smoky Mountains and we are heading back to the Baltimore area for a couple of weeks. Right now we are in Natural Bridge, Virginia. So we just found a nice little KOA by the side of the road here. And I have to say it's very nice. It's very nice. There's a holiday KOA here in Natural Bridge, Virginia. It's a very, very nice place. So if you're ever doing the whole RV thing, the whole travel trailer thing, and you're looking at KOAs, basically KOAs are essentially like the Starbucks of the RV park world. There's very few like chains of like RV parks. There's KOA and there's Jellystone, but KOA like is by far like the biggest. But again, there's only like KOA and Jellystone and maybe one other. Jellystones, there's not that many of them. So the nice thing is like if you're going like from point A to point B and you don't really want to worry about the quality you're going to get, going to a KOA can be very nice. Again, it's kind of like the whole Starbucks thing I talked about every once in a while, where I didn't used to like Starbucks coffee, but then I learned to like Starbucks coffee because when I was traveling as a regional support engineer and I went to all these different places, the fact of the matter was when I would go to different coffee shops, sometimes I got great coffee and a lot of times I just got brown stick water. So I started drinking Starbucks because at least with Starbucks I always knew what I was going to get. So the nice thing is when you come to a KOA, it's the same deal. You're going to get relatively decent internet access. You're going to relatively decent space to park in. It's going to be relatively easy to get in. You can use their little web-based thing to be able to sign up for your spot and all that kind of stuff. So overall, you get a very nice, kind of basically generic experience. And the thing is there are a lot of other nicer RV parks. It's kind of like hosteling, right? Any of the Europeans out there that are still watching, like the one European that's left still watching. Anyways, like if you do youth hostels, right? So if you go to like youth hostel, international youth hostels, they're all basically kind of, they have the same things. No alcohol is allowed, no, quiet time after 10, you always know what you're getting, which can be a nice thing. But if you really want the high quality hostels, like the really nice hostels, then you go to the independent hostels. Problem is with independent hostels, some of them are awesome, some of them are crap, right? Kind of that's how the way the RV world works, or the RV parks work. And so like whenever we're traveling basically from point A to point B, and I don't really care, like I say, like with this, it was just a place that was in the middle between Smoky Mountains and Baltimore. I like to go for KOAs because at least when we come to a KOA, we essentially know what we're gonna get. It's all basically gonna be good enough. If nothing else, it will be good enough, so we're here. But the thing is with a lot of these KOAs have different versions. And so there's like travel, or they're like, what are they called? KOA 66s, or travel KOAs. So there's like a normal KOA, and like normal KOAs, you've got decent little, it's a decent little place, but there's not a lot to it. Then you have travel KOAs, I think they're KOA 66ers or something like that. And those are KOAs that are specifically made for people just passing through, just driving through. So in a lot of places, you're taking your RV from here to here and you got to stop in a space in the middle. So they put KOAs in a space in the middle. Again, they're good enough, they're nice enough. The issue with those though is they're usually like right by the interstate. That's what's good about them, is since they're right by the interstate, you literally get off the exit, take a right, take a left, and you're there. You set up, you do your thing, you wake up in the morning and you leave. So when we came here, I was thinking it was one of those KOA 66s or whatever, but actually it's a holiday KOA. So holiday KOAs are different KOAs, and basically they're trying to be like resortish KOAs. So there's a full-fledged pool here, and there's a full dog park here, and there's a full kids playground here, and it's a decent size. Actually got a nature trail and all that kind of stuff. So overall, a nice little place to spend the night. So yeah, we're just here, a little tired, a little groupy today, right? Doing a lot of hiking out on this little trip. So woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty tired, and we came about 300 miles. And again, I'm finding like 300 miles seems to be a really nice distance for the travel trailer and all that. Because the issue is when you're hauling the travel trailer is You can only go, I only feel comfortable going about 150 miles between gas stations. So you know that's 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So every 2.5 hours, you have to stop basically to get gas. Because the issue is you can go farther. You definitely can go farther. But the thing is, you burn gas real quick, and so like it's a 24-gallon tank, and so I burn anywhere between 9 to 11 gallons per 9. I burn 1 gallon. I get 9 to 11 miles per gallon. So it means with a 24-gallon tank, maybe I can get 240 miles. But you have to remember, when you're traveling from point A to point B in the United States, it's not like there's a gas station every 3 miles. Sometimes you can go 60 miles without a gas station. So like once you get to that 150-mile mark, the issue is if you're driving along and the next gas station's in 30 miles and then you miss it for some reason, you know, the next gas station after that might be once you run out of gas. So basically, about every 2 hours or so, we have to stop for gas. And then when you have a travel trailer, you can't just stop at any normal gas station because you have a 30-foot travel trailer behind you. And oddly enough, even out in the middle of nowhere, the gas stations aren't built for people with travel trailers. And so you have to go to a travel center, essentially. And so those are spaced out even farther than gas stations. So it's a whole big pain in the booty, as they would say. So simply even going 300 miles, you know, it's a decent amount of driving. Especially if you've got the trailer, because driving with the trailer takes a lot of stress, takes a lot more energy than normal driving, because you're big and long, right? So you got the F-150. What do you figure? That's 15 feet. That's 15 feet of steel, and then that's connected to a 30-foot trailer. And so when wind hits you from the side, it literally scoots the entire fucking thing over, which is oh so fun when you're doing 70 miles an hour going downhill, or even like there's just so many things going on with aerodynamics. Like when big semis go past you, there's actually like this vacuum effect where you actually get sucked closer to the semi, which overall is one of those things you just get used to after a while. It's not actually as dangerous as it feels. It feels like shit fuck dangerous. It feels like, oh no, we're all gonna die. That's just one of those things you get used to, where you get squeezed in, you get vacuumed in about 2 or 3 inches, and then the semi goes by and you get better. But the thing is, depending on the different masses and the different sizes semi trailers, some of these like can affect you differently. So you get some of the really big, bulky ones. And they can really shift you around on the road. And again, like I say, once you get used to it, it's not like dangerous, it's not like scary, but you definitely do have to pay attention to what the hell you're doing. Like driving with a trailer, even at this point. So I've been driving, we spent 9 months on the road last year, and you know, we spent 3 weeks on the road now. So, you know, 10 months, trucking that thing all over the country. And again, it gets a lot easier. It's not scary anymore, it's not worrisome anymore. But it does take a lot of, a lot of energy to be able to drive that thing. So we're on 300 miles today, and then we'll go about 250 miles tomorrow, and we'll park it at the house, and then we're going to do some cleanup on it, and we're going to do some repair work. Again, the problem with these travel trailers, the big problem with travel trailers, is they just are not built very well, to be honest with you. I mean, like structurally they're built very well. Like the things that have to work on them are built very well. Plumbing's built very well. You know, the framework is built very well. The slides, as they're called, the things that slide in and out, are built very well. But it's just all the little accessories and, you know, furnishings or whatever. Like there's all these like pieces of wood that are supposed to be secured and supposed to look pretty. And they're all like falling apart already. And there's something in the bathroom I have to fix. So spent a couple of days, park it at the house, and spent a couple of days fixing that kind of thing. So that's just something to realize. You spend a decent amount of money on one of these things, and then it is a bit sad to see. It feels like it starts to fall apart like day 2. And again, it's one of those things. It's not horrible. It's not like the entire thing just like falls apart, but it's just like all these weird little like decorative things start falling apart, and you're kind of like, what? It doesn't make sense. Wait a minute. It's day 2. Wait till day 3 before you start falling apart. Anyways, we'll bring it back. I'll go in there with a whole bunch of super glue. Go out, buy a couple of tubes of Gorilla Glue, and that should be able to solve the problem. So that's what's been going on today. That's what's been going on today. Very nice. Again, Smoky Mountains. Could definitely spend at least a month in the Smoky Mountains. Smoky Mountains, I think you need a month to be there. That was just a magnificent place. This entire time has really been magnificent. Been really very happy for that, being back here in the U.S. and being able to drive. Now, as far as just so all the folks out there, all the Europeans know, so I was talking about Europe in the last couple of days because of Brexit. I just don't get Brexit. I just don't get Brexit. But anyways, it's not my place to get. I'm an American. I'm American. I have to worry about Texas. If Texas tries to secede from the Union, I get to worry about that. Brexit, I've just been talking about a little bit because I think it's just about as nutty as batshit. And so I've been explaining a few things, again, from my American standpoint. And that is one thing to understand whenever you watch these videos, because some people are like, Eli, well, that's your American viewpoint. It's like, yes, exactly. I never said I was European. I never said I was British. I never said I was Chinese. I said my viewpoint on all this. And it is one thing important to understand, like whenever you're watching these videos, is I am giving you my viewpoint about all this stuff. Again, I'm not telling you what is right. I am not telling you what is wrong. I am giving you my viewpoint and opinions on these things. So sometimes they may come off as very cold or crass or whatever, and maybe they are, but it is my viewpoint as an American. And I think it's important to understand that because so many people they want to be so polite and they don't want to say anything to offend anybody else. But the reality is, here's the thing, right? People have opinions. People have opinions about whatever. Here's the bitch. Here's the bitch. You want to know the bitch? I don't want to hear. Can't say the bitch. That offends women. You know what sucks? Okay. You know what really sucks in life? One of the things that really sucks in life is, here's the thing. People have opinions. People have opinions. People develop opinions about things. People develop opinions about Brexit. People develop opinions about Greece. People develop opinions about Trump and Hillary and Benghazi. Benghazi is back in the newspapers today, right? They have all these opinions. Well, the thing is one of the problems that I see in the modern world is everybody has these opinions. And here's the thing. They will then act upon these opinions, right? So people have opinions about immigrants, right? People have a lot of nasty opinions about immigrants. But here's the thing. They are not going to be so rude or so crass to actually state what their opinions are about immigrants, so that somebody may be able to figure out a reasonable solution to the problem. What they're going to do is they're going to vote for Trump. Now, the reason that they're voting for Trump is all of these opinions that they have. There may have been a better way to solve those issues rather than voting for Trump, but because they're not willing to speak it out loud, then nobody really talks about it, and then you get things like Trump and Brexit and all that kind of stuff. So one of the reasons that I speak my opinion, and I talk about this, is just so you folks have an understanding of what an American viewpoint on these situations can be. And is. Again, talking about Brexit yesterday, I do want the British people to understand that when Obama says that you will go to the bottom of the queue as far as trade negotiations and all that is concerned, I honestly, as an American, don't think the American citizenry has one iota of a shred of patience for that horseshit. I honestly don't believe Americans have any patience for Obama trying to teach any other country, especially a European country, a lesson by putting them to the bottom of the list as far as things like trade negotiations, military resources, and all of that kind of stuff. You must see things get nasty really quick. I think that truly is. On the other hand, again, so that's one thing. It's like, okay, hey, British folks, just UK folks, just so you know, I really don't think, when there's all these threats and all that kind of stuff, really, as a citizen of the United States, I don't believe it is politically tenable to screw you the way that he claims he wants to screw you. And again, as an American, explaining things like that whole red line in Syria, where the dumbass says, using chemical weapons is a red line that we will not allow you to pass. And then just to show you, Syria fucking use chemical weapons, and he's like, well, let's talk about the definition of a red line. It's like, Hey, dumbass, we all know what the definition of a red line is. The entire world has already agreed on what the definition of a red line is. We all agree that you should have never stated that there was a red line. But now that you did state there was a red line, and now that they did cross over that red line, you now want to debate, what is the definition of a red line? So again, talking about that, just so you understand, our president has a real way of saying very strong-sounding things, and then just not doing a damn thing about it. Again, there's this idea that Obama has this the imperial presidency. And it's kind of funny when you think about the imperial presidency, because there's a lot of things he hasn't gotten accomplished, or that he's gotten accomplished in a very piss-poor manner. So when you think of it as one way, like Democrats like to laugh, oh, the imperial presidency, as if anything Obama wants, Obama gets, which is incorrect. The imperial presidency is correct in the fact that he kind of just sits up there in the Oval Office, and he decrees, and then he walks the hell away. Which is why leaving Iraq was a mess, leaving Afghanistan was a mess, Dodd-Frank is a mess, Obamacare is a mess. So many things from his government is a mess, because he just says, I think that both parties should come together. They're like, great! And then he walks away. You're like, son of a bitch. Again, right? It's the thing, like with Obamacare. Again, one of the reasons that I'm pissed on Obamacare is that I wanted single-payer healthcare. Single-payer healthcare was the argument. Here was the argument. Do we go with single-payer healthcare? Do we not go with single-payer healthcare? That was the argument. That was the discussion. That is what we were all voting about. Obamacare was neither of those things. It was neither of those things. I have a healthcare plan that now costs me twice as much as it did, and is just a mess. It's just a mess, right? But anyways, and so that's why I'm talking with the British people, is just like, look, our president says a whole bunch of horseshit, and just so you understand, he really doesn't follow through with it. Again, he is the imperial, I decree. That's the thing. He's an imperial president. He's just not a very good imperial president. Right? Again, like George Bush got shit done. Like, he got shit, again, Dumb and Dumber. Like, George Bush said stupid things. We shall invade Iraq. And people are like, and then everybody's like, yeah, sure, we'll invade Iraq. Like, fuck, right? Obama tries to do the same thing. We need better health care, but then he walks away. And so, yeah, right. On the other hand, as far as like the British are concerned, again, being a U.S. citizen, talking about the whole thing with UK, is I think in the short term, in the short and even midterm, our politicians trying to teach them a lesson is just ridiculous, and I don't think our citizens would handle it at all. But on the other hand, if you just look at it from a pragmatic stance, you start going out a decade, 2 decades. If you take the UK, right? So the nice part about the UK as being an ally to the United States is the UK was part of the EU. So if we're trying to push the EU in a direction, and the UK is part of the EU, and the UK is our ally, we can push on the UK, and the UK can push on the EU, and that's all rather valuable, right? So then let's say the UK leaves the EU. So then, well, that kind of sucks, right? I mean, that means you're not quite as valuable as you were, just from a practical standpoint, but you're still the UK. You still got a big military, you still got a blue water navy, you've still got a big economy and the financial stuff. Again, however the recession works out, you're not going to be too, the United Kingdom wouldn't be too bad. But then, again, from a practical standpoint, take the United Kingdom, and then Northern Ireland reconnects to Ireland so they can be in the EU. Scotland goes off and becomes part of the EU. And then you're left with like England and maybe Wales as something. And again, at that point, it's not punishment. It's not the American citizens saying, screw you, England. It's simply, fuck. Again, even if we have 100% of you, even if you support us 100%, it's like, you're just not that valuable of an ally anymore, right? And that's one of the things trying to get across, like I say, talking about that from an American standpoint, is that's how we look at things. And again, one of the problems that we deal with in the world is that there's just so few real power players. There's just so, like when you're the size of the United States, I mean, you don't want to set up treaties and set up military stuff with all this little pissant thing, right? You want blocks. You want to deal with China. You want to deal with Europe. You want to deal with big things, right? All these little pissant countries, right? So talking about that, and then again, like I say, the whole European thing with NATO and all that kind of stuff. Again, just so Europeans understand. I mean, a lot of us are questioning things like NATO. Why the hell are we still part of NATO? And especially, like I say, like some of the Europeans got pissed off with the things that I say. But I mean, again, if you are so dysfunctional that, well, everything that's going on is going on. Again, why should we be a strong part of that defense? Especially when everybody gets pissed at us for our military anyway. People get pissed at us for military bases. People get pissed at us for all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like, why are we part of NATO? If Europe wants a defense from Russia or from Iran with some kind of missile defense shield, why don't they just deal with it? Are we really part of it? Again, just talking about that. And then again, like I say, with the European arrogance thing, it is funny because I've gotten a little pushback from some Europeans. I don't understand this European arrogance thing. And then there's a screed of European arrogance. And again, the thing was with the European arrogance is, again, I've traveled all of my adult life, and I've been around international folks all of my adult life. And I just have to say, again, just being out in the real world, Europeans love to bash Americans. They really do. Because again, like I say, if you ever meet me in real life, like normal real life, not even a meeting, but like normal life, I really don't talk a lot. Again, like I say, probably if I meet a normal person out in the real world, they talk 90% and I talk 10%. Again, I more listen, which is one of the reasons I find this whole video thing completely and utterly ironic. Because again, I don't talk that much. I have friends that do. Like there's a guy that I know, that Fraz, my old neighbor, and motherfucker, you would sit in front, you would get onto his porch and you would sit down and he would just entertain you for like 3 hours. All you had to say was, hey, can I grab another beer? That was like literally all you had to say. He would entertain your ass for 3 hours. I'm not one of those people. I'm one of those people that basically just listens. And again, what I would say in the whole, that's where I say with the whole European arrogance is, oh my golly, all around the world, I have just had Europeans like beating me over the head with the inferiority of the United States. And all I'm saying is, again, this is a personal opinion on my part. I am not waving the flag for the United States. I'm not saying, I guess, everybody believes this. I'm just saying, from my personal standpoint, looking at Europe today, I'm just done with, they say that, oh, look at how you've screwed up the world. Because the problem is, we'll talk about this in another video. The problem is, with a lot of people, is they learn very specific facts in history, and especially with the United States being very big and very powerful, and having relatively decent First Amendment, relatively decent free speech. There's a lot of information about us, and there's a lot of information about our mistakes out there, just completely written about by everybody, by ourselves. I mean, we document it. I mean, we make money documenting our mistakes, right? There are best-selling books, New York Times best-selling books, on how the U.S. screwed up X, Y, or Z. Well, the issue is, since we're so big, and since we're so powerful, and since we're such a focus, it's easy for a lot of other countries and a lot of other citizens from those countries to learn about all of our mistakes and then beat us over the head, right? And so that's one of the things that I found, is a lot of, say, especially Europeans, will beat me over the head about all kinds of different issues that the U.S. has had. The problem is it's kind of like one of those things where it's perspective, and the issue is so many other countries are so small that we just don't pay attention to all their screw-ups. Like, how many people can really talk about the screw-ups in France, the French in Algeria? Or how many people can talk about the screw-ups of India going into the Sri Lankan Civil War? Or how many people can talk about the screw-ups of the South African army going into all kinds of other African nations trying to quell civil wars and all that kind of stuff? And the reality is just, when the U.S. does something, damn near everything that we do is on the global stage. So the good things, landing on the moon, is on the global stage, and fucking Vietnam and Iraq is on the global stage. Like, everything we do is on the global stage. Where these other countries, again, whether you're looking at France, whether you're looking at Germany, again, you look at places like Germany, and you have Germans talking about, oh, look at how you treat African Americans. It's like, yeah, but you have people that have lived in your country 2 and 3 generations that are still not citizens. But the thing is, your country is so small, it doesn't even show up on the American radar, on the map. But we're so big, you can talk about our issues, right? And so that's where I was just saying, like I say, with the whole European mess now, just like done with. Just like stop. Again, I don't want to beat up on. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing, is it's not like I want to beat up on Europeans. Again, it's not insulting Europeans. It's not like, I don't think Europeans are inferior. I really don't. I like Europe. Europe's a beautiful place. I want to go back to Europe. Again, hey, the pound's down to $1.30 of the pound. I can't wait. Oh my God, like, can you imagine parity with the pound? Oh, that'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. I've been spending like 6 months in the UK. No, I like Europe and all that. It's just, there's this push and there's this attitude. And again, like I say, I think it causes damages in ways that people don't realize. And again, like I say, for the U.S. folks, for a long time, you know that whole idea of ever closer union. So, you look at some of the stuff that's going on, you look at some of the stupid stuff, and then you look at being looked down on by Europeans, and you're like, okay, whatever, ever closer union. But then you start to see all of these fractures, and you start to see so much of history seeming to try to repeat itself. And that's just where it's kind of like, I'm done. So if you have not been arrogant to an American, I apologize to you. Again, I'm not trying to insult all Europeans or whatever. I've just found, like I say, in my personal experience, traveling and all that kind of stuff, I get berated on so often. And like I say, I accepted it. I accepted it all the way up till Thursday of last week. Or I guess Friday when I woke up in the morning. It was like I accepted all the America bashing from Europe all the way until I opened up Google News and Wall Street Journal on Friday of last week, and it said Brexit won. And that was just like the final straw. I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it anymore. Yes, we are screwed up, but right. Anyways, so that's just the thought there. I don't know. We're all humans. We're all people. Again, as I always say, and that's one thing to think about. Is I've always talked about this before. I've talked about this a lot. I don't know if I've talked about this on videos. What I have found, generally, by and large, traveling all around the world. Again, I've been to a lot of countries at this point. A lot of countries and a lot of different places in those countries. Like those types of places where people look at you laws, right? And what I have found is that by and large, people almost always like each other and are almost always very helpful. Again, whether I've been in Europe, whether I've been in India, whether I've been in Southeast Asia, whether I've been in South America or Turkey. No, I mean, you do have the fucking tuk-tuk drivers. Tuk-tuk drivers, oh, they're just barely human. And again, I don't care what color they are, right? There's just a brand of creature that's a tuk-tuk driver, and we'll just set them to the side. But everybody else, again, whether they're Thai or Cambodian or Turkish or French or whatever, are actually really, really generally pretty nice and pretty helpful. And you don't have a lot of issues with people one-on-one as people. The issues that you run into is nations, or this idea of nationhood. So as I always say, people don't hate each other, nations do. And so that's just one of those things to be thinking about as we're going out there. And again, that's where I'm looking at it from an American standpoint, is again, everything, so much of what I talk about here in this guru mentorship role is, again, other people that talk into cameras, try to explain the world from different ways, Hey, we should all love each other, and violence is bad, and we should all hug a cow, and love and happiness and fairy dust and cotton candy, right? And that's fine. Go watch Eckhart Tolle or one of these other people if you want that. Where I always try to come from with all of this stuff is about the functional. How do you work? how do you function within the confines of your environment? And how do you succeed that way, right? And so when I talk about Europe, it's more just the idea of, with this whole idea, the old idea of ever closer union, from a business standpoint and from a professional standpoint, that makes life a hell of a lot easier. I mean, again, when I talk with so many people, so many international people, like, they have this idea like the United States is like LA and New York, and they're kind of like side by side. Like, oh yeah, I'm in LA, I'm gonna go to New York, it'll be a 30-minute drive. Like, they have no idea about the Amish, or the Apostolics, or Appalachia, or anything else about this country, right? They think it's all like LA, right? But the thing is, like, and that's why I try to, one of the things showing you folks and showing some of the international folks of the United States is, I mean, we are 3,000 miles by 2,000 miles. We all use the same currency. We all speak the same language. All the federal laws are the same, so things like speed limits and all that kind of stuff. Most of the state laws are copacetic. Again, every state has their own laws, but it's one of those things, you know, if you're dealing crack, you know, Texas, they're going to be harder on you than New York or something like that. So don't deal crack type of deal. But most of the laws are pretty. So it's like with me, like, we can just hop in our truck and, like, literally went from Maryland to Pennsylvania to Virginia to the Smoky Mountains. We're going to go back to Baltimore, and then we're going to go even farther up in the Northeast. We're going to go up the Adirondacks in New York, and then after that, probably in the winter, we're going to go down to like Florida or Texas, and we can just drive, and we can just go. And again, if I want to get a job, God help me if I want to get a job, but if I want to get a job, or my wife wanted to get a job, we could just do it, you know? All of the roads are the same. It's just sameness, and it makes life so much more efficient and so much easier, especially from an economic standpoint. Again, like I say, if you're in the United States and you're selling a product or service, it's relatively easy to sell nationally. And for us, I mean, we're not talking about England. We're talking about the United States. And so that's where I look at it functionally with Europe. The frustration is again, if you folks start fractioning off again, it just makes life so much harder. And again, like I say, as an American, if I am looking to expand globally, and I'm looking for a large group of people to go after, do I go after this one continent that literally, I mean, has arguments within their own, I mean, countries the size of a gnat's ass, and they're having arguments over things like language, or, like I say, do you go after China? Do you go after India? I know a lot of Europeans, fuck China, India. But again, if you think about development can happen really quick. It's an interesting thing when you start talking about countries and development and how much faster development is going. So you know, initially you had the Western countries, so Europe, Britain back when they were literally top of the technological pyramid, Germany when they were top, you know, France, Russia, the United States. So for us to go from basically agrarian economies to technologically advanced economies took a long fucking time. A long time. From when the steam engine came down the pike to basically when electricity was considered a normal thing throughout the entire country, it was about 100 years, right? It took a long time for the first world countries to become what we now consider first world countries. But then what they talk about is if you start looking at countries like South Korea, if you start looking at countries like even as weird as Thailand is, you look at Thailand, you look at some of the South American countries, they were able to make a lot of the advancements that we made. Instead of it taking them 100 years, it only took them 50 years. And then you look at China, and again, I remember when China was nothing. I remember when China was just a big-ass landmass with a whole bunch of people. The only thing that we had to say about it was a fucking one-child policy. That was about it. So you talked about China, Tiananmen Square, and the one-child policy. That was about it, right? And if you look at it, you know, since they became a member of the WTO, what was that, 2000 or something? Like 16 years. I mean, they're just, booming. Entire cities are getting built. So that's where it's like, like as an American looking out at the world, and since we want to build, we want to grow, we care about business and all that kind of stuff, it is that question. Do you look at this continent that just cannot get past the being factioned off, right? Or do you look at China with 1.1 billion people and India with 1.2 billion people that are, again, not the best places in the world right now, but are industrializing really quickly? You got to think about it. Where do I want my investment to go? Where do I want to push my business? In 20 years, if I focus on this section of the world, where is my business going to be? And in 20 years, if I focus on that section of the world, where do I think my business is going to be? And that's the worry, is that Asia's looking pretty good. Asia's looking pretty good. So that's the thing. That's my concern with all of it. That's why I'm talking about it. Anyways. And again, I do like to jab a little bit with the people like, I have never heard of the European arrogance card. Like, my ass. You know it's in your wallet. For everything else, there's European arrogance. But anyways, so, I don't know, people unsubscribing. Fuck you, Eli. I'm just telling you my opinion. I'm just telling you my opinion. Oh, but anyways, a topic that I want to talk about today that I'm very happy for, I'm very proud of, though after this the Patreon might go down a little bit, is we have finally hit coffee money. As of Saturday, so as of like 3 days ago, I have finally hit coffee money. So basically, when I talk about coffee money, whenever I look at the profitability of a venture, whenever I look at the profitability of a business, I essentially have three different milestones to hit. 3 major milestones to hit, and then after that it just does whatever it does, right? So the first milestone is what I consider coffee money. So coffee money is when I'm making $300 a month off of whatever it is that I'm doing. So I remember way back when with Eli the computer guy, I had the videotape from the Tech Breakfast where I was demoing what I was doing. And I was like, I made $350 last month, right? And so basically, my idea is that, when I went out and was in the professional world, actually had my office and all that kind of stuff, I would go out and I'd buy coffee every day. And I usually buy like 2 coffees every day. So you're buying 2 coffees every day. Coffee's kind of expensive, basically $10 a day on coffee or whatever. So the idea is $300 per month pays my coffee fund. And the reason I talk about it as my coffee fund is essentially the idea being is that if what I'm doing can't even pay for my coffee, then it's really not making enough money to really care about. Whether it's $75 or $175 or $250, if it's not $300, it's not really a relevant amount of money. It's just, yeah, you're making a couple of bucks, but do not quit your day job. Do not go look for investment. Basically, whatever you're making below the $300 mark, that's all cute and all that. Take your wife out to a movie. But, well, unless you're me, don't be telling anybody, right? So the idea is $300 a month for that. And then basically, then the next mark I figure is $1,000 a month is where you hit basically what I consider the part-time job mark, right? So the part-time job, you're making $1,000 a month. Depending on what kind of professional you are, maybe that means you can back off some other things you're doing. Instead of taking overtime at work, you can just work a normal 40-hour shift or whatever. Basically, that means what you're doing is relatively successful. I mean, an extra $12,000 a year is definitely something to help, tide you over, make life better, pay for a couple of vacations, pay for a better quality car. And, $1,000 a month can pay for an extra $100,000 of house, right? So if you get a mortgage for a house, depending on whatever the current APR is, $1,000 a month will get you another $100,000 a house, right? So it's one of those things, like, it gets you another $100,000 of house, but it doesn't get you the house, right? So it makes your life better. It definitely makes your life better. What you're doing is definitely valuable. Again, if you're making $300 a month and you stop doing it, or something fails, who the hell? It's $300 a month. $1,000 a month, that means it's appreciably making your life better. And then what I figure is once you hit the $4,000 a month mark, that's basically where you're making a salary. with whatever you're doing, whether it's computer repair, web design, doing YouTube videos. And that point is where you can do this full time. And then the only question is how far you can scale up from there. Basically, if you're at $300, there's a question about whether or not you can get to $1,000. If you're at $1,000, there's a question about whether or not you can get to $4,000. Even if you work harder, even if you go out there and get more clients, even if you go out and figure out new products, there's no guarantee you can get from $1,000 to $4,000. What I argue is once you're making about $4,000 a month off of whatever venture it is you're doing, whether it's YouTube videos, or whether it's web design, or whether it's bricklaying or lawn mowing or whatever, right? Once you're making $4,000 a month, from there, you have proven that you can grow, that you can scale, that people care about your product, that you can make enough money off of your product to get to the $4,000 mark, $4,000 a month mark, which means you can most likely scale up from $4,000 a long way. Again, whether it's from $4,000 to $10,000, from $4,000 to $40,000 per month, I don't know. But basically, once you hit that $4,000 mark, it means whatever you're doing definitely is valuable to people. It's not simply one-off sales or people being polite to you or people being nice to you. It's that people actually want that product or service, and you can go from there. So this is one of those things that you should be thinking about with your business, with your career, and how you're making money is basically what are your milestones, and to think about how valuable they actually are. Again, if you're making less than $300 a month in whatever you're doing, that doesn't really mean anything at all, right? $300 a month is change, right? You may get clients simply because they feel bad for you. And back in the beginning, I had that. I had clients who liked me and would pay me for some screwed up ass work just because they wanted me to stay in business. Right? They're like, I like this kid. I like the fire in his eye. I don't really like the quality of his work yet. But I like the fire in his eye, so I'm going to pay you. Right? But the thing is, you can't buy a house, or it's unwise to buy a house if people are paying you because of the fire in your eye, right? So again, up to about the $300 mark, you don't really know why it is you're getting paid. You get to that $300 mark, you start to feel a little more stable. You're like, okay, I grasp what's going on. Then you get up to that $1,000 mark, then you feel comfortable. Again, people are coming to you, people definitely want your work, but then the question with there is how many people do you want your work? Right? If you're making $1,000 a month off of 4 clients, the question is are there 5 clients? Are there 6? There just may be 4 clients. That just might be it. You got your 4 clients. That's it. But again, like I say, once you get up to, like I say, that $4,000 mark, you have enough clients, you have enough money coming in, you have enough interest, you have enough of all those things, then at that point you can really say, okay, I have something that people want. I have something that people are willing to pay for, and so I can really take this to the next level if I want to. I know that I'm stable and I know that I'm solid. Now, one of the reasons why I came up with the whole snarky, because everything's snark. Again, I come from the geek background. I'm a geek guru. I'm a geek. Never forget it, right? Again, like I say, Eckhart Tolle or whatever, he's like the Muppet guru. If you ever watch Eckhart Tolle, he looks like a fucking Muppet. He looks like a flesh Muppet. God bless him. He's a cute guy. You ever seen him? He just looks like this little flesh Muppet. But again, all love and peace and all that. I'm not there. Most of my stuff comes from snark in the real world. And so one of the reasons why I talk about the whole coffee money thing is why this came up. And this is something to think about when people come to you for real business relationships. So I knew somebody that I really liked. I liked this guy from one of these business networking groups I was part of. So when I restarted my business, so I was a consultant. Then I built up with all my employees. Then I closed that down in April 2009. October, 6 months later, is when I started doing videos. Did that for a year. At that point, like I say, wasn't making any money off of it. Couldn't make it work. So I went back to consulting for a while. So 2011, I went back to consulting. And so I had my little business and I had my little shop. And I was trying to do, at that time, like hyper commoditized computer repair. The idea was like $50 per repair. So if you want data recovery, it's $50. If you want operating system reinstalled, it's $50. If you want data recovery with an operating system reinstalled, it's $100, right? That was my idea. Meh, fuck it all. But anyways, so when I originally started my business, and when I originally grown that with all the employees and all that kind of thing, I had never done the business networking thing. I'd never done the social networking thing. And I didn't really understand the point and the purpose. And by the time people told me this is what I was supposed to do, I was already up to my eyeballs in work and trying to figure out how to make the business run. So I didn't really worry about it, right? All these people were like, your Rolodex is what's important. And, you need to go out there, you need to network with people. It was like, when am I supposed to do that? I'm literally at the shop 12 hours a day, and we have like up to 4 computers per hour coming in. So when am I supposed to do this whole networking thing? So basically when I grew my original business, I hadn't done the networking thing. Basically, I had just knocked on doors. That's literally what I did. It's like, how to be successful, Eli. Eli knocked on doors. Again, as Adolfo said, the great, magnificent Adolfo, oh, how he should be praised, Adolfo said to me a long time ago, he said that when he got laid off and he got his unemployment check, he couldn't deal with it, he couldn't cope. So what he did was he printed out $50 of flyers and he went out there and he knocked on doors and asked if anybody needed telephone support. And by doing that, he was able to create a nice, happy, very successful business. And so that's basically what I did. In the beginning, what I did is I went there and I knocked on doors and handed out my flyers and said, hey, do you need computer repair? Computer repair, 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 computer repair. And again, in sales, you will get 1%. 1% of the people you talk to will buy. So if you want 1 new client, that means you got to talk to 100 people. If you want 10 new clients, it means you got to talk to 1,000 people. And if you want 100 new clients, it means you got to talk to 10,000 people. It's all basic numbers. And what I found for myself personally was going out knocking on doors. It was 1 new client for every 3 hours. On average, every 3 hours I got a new client. Now, sometimes it was a small business client that was worth tens of thousands of dollars, and sometimes it was a home client that was worth $100, $200. But it was about every 3 hours got me 1 client. Those were back in the wonderful days. But anyways, so when I restarted my business, I'd been told by all these really professional people, all these CEO type people, I needed to go out there and I needed to network. And so since I was restarting it, starting from square one again, I figured, okay, I will do that this time. And again, this is when meetups were becoming popular, and especially since it was post-recession. So this was 2011, or kind of middle of the recession or whatever. The whole networking business idea was absolutely huge. So I went out there and I did all these different networking things. Again, that's where I got involved with the meetup groups. That's where I had the fiasco of the GBTC, Greater Baltimore Tech Council, that I got kicked out of. I got kicked out of the GBTC. I got kicked out of the GBTC so hard, they literally sent me my check back. Because I became a member of the GBTC under Sharon Webb? Was that her name? Sharon, whatever. She was a great leader of the GBTC. She was like the perfect leader of the GBTC. And like the GBTC had done like a year of research before they had recruited her. And she was really good. And so I joined because of her. She outlined the plan of GBTC. Basically, she outlined this plan where, well, right now we're dealing with a lot of the large companies, but we want to start focusing on the small startup companies. And so you come in as a small startup company, and we can do all the schmoozing. It was really great, right? But then they fired her in the most brutally horrible fashion and brought in this guy, Jason Hardebeck. She's a brick. And he just came in and immediately started changing all these things that it didn't even make any sense. Didn't make a damn bit of sense. And again, when I say it didn't make a damn bit of sense, a year later the entire thing died. They went from sponsors and money and an office and employees to this guy took over, and a year or 2 later it was all completely dead. The guy that was supposed to save the GBT. And it wasn't exactly a surprise because people like me were like, I don't know, what the fuck is he doing? He's being so stupid. But anyways, I got kicked out of the GBTC because when they were making all the changes, I was very vocal about how asinine stupid the changes were, at which point it was basically, well, shut up, we're doing it anyway. At which point I said, look, I'm a paying fucking member, and as a paying member, I will tell you my opinions on this. At which point I was then told, you will receive your check back in a week. And I literally got my check back. The motherfucker literally sent me my check back. It's one of the few people I will talk about in the Baltimore tech scene. Jason Hardebeck fucking sent me my check back from the GBTC to get my ass to shut up. And then I really couldn't say anything, right? It was not only was I kicked out of the GBTC, but they refunded my complete fee. So I was like, okay, screw y'all. And then they died. And then he just drilled that thing in the ground. And it was like, I was trying to tell you that. I was trying to tell you none of us understood what the fuck you were doing. And instead of listening, you sent me my check back and drilled it in the ground anyway. But anyway, so I did these kind of things. A lot of networking stuff. And one of these networking events, I met this one guy that I really liked. I really did like. And I did respect for a little while. He was like one of these older guys, and he had gotten involved in electricity sales. So a lot of people don't realize in the United States is the electricity market got deregulated a long time ago now, right? Like a decade ago at this point. So now, like it used to be that basically all these electricity companies were kind of monopolies. They owned the power creation systems, so the coal-fired plants or the nuclear power plants or whatever. They owned the transmission lines, and basically they owned everything. They owned the production of electricity, they owned the transmission of electricity, and then they sold you the electricity. With deregulation, what happened is that these services got separated out from different companies. So transmission was the responsibility of one company, the electricity sales was the responsibility of another company, and the creation of the electricity was the responsibility of another company. So the idea was when you go to buy your electricity, now it's kind of like with mobile telephone service. You can go with Verizon or T-Mobile or Sprint or something like that. And before, you could only go with Verizon or AT&T. Or Bell, whatever it was at the time. And so like in our area, in the past, you could only buy electricity from BG&E. Well, now you get all these other players in the market, so now you can buy electricity from BG&A, or you can buy electricity from this person, or this person, this person, this person. The idea is you throw a lot more players into the market, and that will theoretically drive down cost. Give consumers options, and they will pick the best option for them. That hasn't quite worked for the electricity market because they haven't really done a lot of advertising on this fact, and so a lot of people don't realize that they can actually buy electricity from other people. So it's been a bit of a mess. But anyways, this person had gotten in this whole electricity sales thing, which wasn't a bad deal, right? So I have my computer company. And again, one of the ways that like computer technology companies can make more money is by selling other people's services. So again, if you become, like I was talking to there was a telephone person that came to meet me for one of my meetings. And one of the ways that he made a lot of his money was by being a service provider for companies. So if you wanted Verizon Fios service, you could actually buy it technically from him. He would sell you the Fios service, but then Fios would deal with all of it. They would give him an initial check, plus they would give him a residual check. So it's a good way to go, right? If you're a technology company, you can, it's like a master services agreement, MSP. We might do a video on it later. It's actually a really good thing. So you can go out there, and so like if somebody needs telephone lines, you can literally sell them the telephone lines. You don't actually do anything. You just sell it and essentially get a commission for doing it. They need wireless phones. They need cell phones. You essentially sell them, don't do anything, and get a commission for it. Really good way to go, right? And so, I was looking at that kind of stuff anyway in order to boost the sales. And so he was talking about electricity. And again, one of the things I talk about in a technology business, what is technology? What are we actually doing? So electricity, I could sell you Fios or I could sell you electricity. It doesn't sound like a bad thing if I go into my clients, and especially the businesses, and I could sell them new, hey, do you want to be eco? I have an option where you can buy 100% wind power. Right? That's the kind of thing you could do. So I was like, okay, well that sounds interesting. So the guy comes and we have one of these sit-down meetings. And so we're at my conference table in my building and all that, back when I had a building. He comes and he's in his business suit and I'm in my whatever. I'm like, okay, well explain this to me. I said, okay, this is such a good deal. The first thing you have to do is you have to become like a representative for the company, and you have to buy the initial package and all that kind of stuff, and that's going to cost you $400. At which point I look at him, I'm like, what? Wait a minute. How is this costing me $400? Right away, it's starting to sound like a pyramid scheme. Starting It's not like an electricity pyramid scheme. But he's like, no, Eli, let me explain this to you, Eli. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid. Let me explain it to you. So it's okay. So now let's imagine that you sell so many electricity contracts per month, and he sketches that out. And then he says, okay, and your percentage, your residual, whatever, for selling those contracts is this amount of money. He says, so as you can see here, within 3 months, you have earned back your investment. And I just looked at him. I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, what? I was like, maybe I didn't hear what the number of the investment was. You did say it cost $400 to become part of this program. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and I'm saying within 3 months you can have that paid back. And I just looked at him, and I was like, so you want me to pay $400 to be part of this program? Yeah. And once I become part of this program, with these numbers that you've given me, which seem like reasonable sales numbers, like I could probably sell a little better, but they seem like reasonable sales numbers. You're telling me within 3 months I will have earned $400. That's what I'm telling you. And I just looked at him, and that's where it's like, that, dude, that doesn't even pay for my coffee. Like, well, what do you mean? And I just looked at him. I was like, look around, dude. We are in my building. My employee is downstairs. We probably took in $400 of work. You know, it was like noon or something. We probably took in $400 of work by noon. And you're telling me, like, if I become part of your program, I should have earned $400, the initial investment back within 3 months? Hey, dude, I am not going to touch anything that takes 3 months in order for me to make $400. If I can't make $400 in a morning, I don't give two shits. I wasn't the most polite over this. And then he got very offended. And I wasn't sure what to do. It's almost like the European thing. Where it's like, listen, motherfucker, you've just wasted my time. What business person in the world thinks that a good product is something you make $133 off of per month? Dude, I could start like fucking like stocking HDMI cables downstairs and I'd earn more than that per month. That'd be a hell of a lot easier to do. So that was the whole thing, like I say, with the whole coffee money. And again, that's one of those things that you folks need to think about as business. Because again, people will come in all like bold and all there and be all offended when I say, let's lay it on the line. But again, I say this person in his little business suit, all professional, all like laying out the numbers. And at the end of it, like after 3 months, I will have, and that was just recouping the $400. So it would have actually then taken me 6 months to make my first $400. And that's one of the really important things to think about, like I say, in business or in your career or any of that kind of stuff. Because people will look at you with a completely straight face and say this crap. Right? And that's what you need to be thinking about is the venture that you're going to do really going to bring the money that you need? Like somebody can say this is good money. Eli, selling electricity is great money. Okay, how much is that? Great money, Eli. Dude, I don't want to hear great money. It is great money. No, what is the number? $400 every 3 months. Dude, that's $133 a month. I made more than that in a night delivering pizzas back when I was in college. That's not good money, right? But again, it's one of those things to really be thinking about, because you will get sold into stuff where people say, this is great money. And you're like, wow, I want to make great money. But again, this is where I always say, come back. What is the definition? Socratic argument. I don't want to make great money. I want to make $500 before noon. $500 before noon is good money. $500 before noon is good money. $1,000 before noon is great money. Or better money, right? Again, that's just how it is. Like, think about it. Because so many people get lost in that whole thing. Oh, I'm making money. How much money are you making? Are you really making any money? And that's why I say, that's why I have delineated. Like I say, even in my head, the way I think about things is $300 is coffee money. So when I make $300, I'm proud of making $300. I have a nice curve. I have a nice curve going. We'll talk about a curve later. I have a nice curve going. So hopefully $300 will turn into $600. Will turn into more. But I don't let it go to my head. It's not like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm making $300 this month. I'm like, dude, I'm making coffee money this month. I look at it and I go, wow, I can finally pay for my coffee habit. And then by saying that, it kind of puts everything in perspective. Again, you get to $1,000 a month, and that's a part-time job. It's a good part-time job. It's a nice part-time job. It makes your life a little better. But man, you ain't taking over the world with a part-time job. Again, like I say, you get to $4,000 a month, then you can say, look, this is a job. This is actually something I can build, I can do something with, I can scale, I can go from here. Again, the question of how far you can scale, who the hell knows, depends on product, service, location, all that kind of stuff. But you know it's something you can scale. If you're making $4,000 a month, it's very reasonable to expect you can get to $8,000 a month. It's relatively reasonable to expect you can get to $15,000 a month. It's possible to expect you can get to $20,000 a month. Who the hell knows if you can go anything past that, right? So that's just one of those things to think about. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud as of right now. I've hit coffee money. I've made $210 in the past, I think it was $210 or $211 in the past 30 days off of ad revenue. And I have $96 per month off of Patreon. Or like I said, I did before I started talking about Europeans. Let's see at the end of the day. So that brings me up to whatever it is, $102 or $306. So I'm very proud of that. So we're going along. $306 isn't too bad. That pays for because this is like $40 a night, right? So yeah, that's starting to be money too. It's starting to be something you can do something with. That pays for a week at an RV park. So that's good. Yeah. But anyways, again, I'm not going to let it go to my head. Because again, as I say, to really make this thing work, it costs about, $5,000. Probably if I really want to go full bore with it, some really cool stuff. Maybe about $5,000. Might be able to get under that, $5,000 a month. I don't know, we'll have to see. Because that's a cool thing too. If I start making more money, I've already looked at it. And I can buy a hell of a lot of bandwidth from Verizon if I had the money for it. So we could do more Let's Lives. Right? Well, because you can buy all the way up to 100 gigs. It costs you $750 per month, but you can get 100 gigs of LTE connection for $750 per month. So that wouldn't be too bad. I probably couldn't do 60 frames per second because that's 12 gigs, but I could definitely do 1080p. So we could do 1080p, or maybe we could do 720p at 60 frames per second and do the Let's Lives. Yeah, but that'll be down the pike. Right now I'm making $306 a month, which is not $750 a month. So that's why all the money is important. So again, if you have not looked at the Patreon campaign, and at this point you don't utterly hate me, you might want to look at the Patreon campaign. Little link down in the doobly-doo, as they say. Also, people are asking for all the pictures and stuff of where I'm going. So that's down in the doobly-doo, too. As John Green trademarked doobly-doo. Eli, you're getting a takedown notice. You use the word doobly-doo. Anyways, it's down in the doobly-doo, too. The Instagram thing. So we go to Instagram/failnormal. And so when we go out to any of these parks or out to any of these areas, I'm doing live Instagramming, live pictures, so you can get an idea of all these places that we're at. And they really are awesome. They really are cool. So if you want to go out there and adventure and play and all that kind of stuff, you can get an idea and you're like, ooh, that looks cool. That's something I want to do. I was hoping to do more video Instagramming, so I did a day of video Instagramming. Beautiful video shots. The problem is that I'm finding is uploading the video shots to Instagram can be a bit of a pain in the ass. It took me 10 hours to finally get them to go all through. Because normally when you use Instagram, you just take the picture, you do whatever, you hit share, and it goes. Well, since we're out in the boondocks most of the time, where there's literally no internet connection at all, even for LTE, it then goes into a buffer or a cache, and basically once you get back out to where there's an internet connection, you have to kind of refresh for them to go up. So the weird thing is with pictures, as soon as it says Verizon LTE, with pictures, I just do reload, and it all goes up. What I found was really weird with the videos, because I did like 15 videos that day, is I do reload, failed, reload, failed, reload, worked. Reload, failed, reload, failed, reload, failed, reload, failed, reload, worked. Reload, worked. Reload, failed, reload, failed, reload, failed, reload, failed, reload, failed, reload. Fucking hell. Alright, so that's why we're not doing videos yet. I'm not sure what that is, because again, I got more than enough bandwidth to be able to do Instagram uploads. It's just some kind of weird thing with the LTE connection or whatever. But we're all working. I'm working with it, trying to make things better as we go. So yeah, I guess that's about all there is to it. So anyway, like I said, I'm not trying to irritate any of the Europeans. I'm just trying to explain things from the American mindset. Again, I like Europeans. It's the other Europe. I like you. My viewers who are European. I like. It's the other Europeans I'm talking. And yeah, how arrogant and snotty and horrible that sounds. That's exactly what I've been told countless times in my life. Countless times. But anyways, like I say, I'm really not trying to get into a crap storm with Europe, and I will stop talking about them again. It was just like I say, Brexit's just such. Again, like I say, the Greek debt crisis, like I talked about it a little bit. But again, I mean, whatever. You know, again, we have the Puerto Rican debt crisis going on. Like, the Greek debt crisis is just, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's politicians being stupid, right? You know, that you're like... That is fucking ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't be too snotty with that, because, you know, it's really hard to say your government isn't pulling the same kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like I say, like with the Brexit thing, that is just like so full on. And then all the ramifications, like I say, until Brexit actually happened. I mean, like, I hadn't even thought, I thought the whole Scottish thing had been solved. And then the idea that fucking Northern Ireland would leave. Oh my God, wouldn't that be hilarious? Wouldn't that be hilarious? I mean, like, the whole Northern Ireland thing has been going on for how long? And that could get solved. All they needed, however long ago, was simply a referendum for Brexit. And that would have solved the Irish problem. But it really is interesting. Like I say, this one little stupid-ass referendum has so many very interesting questions. And one thing goes into another, See, unfortunately for me, that's my problem. It's because everybody says, well, you know, with the whole Brexit thing, now people get their head on straight and they won't vote for Trump. Which I would be completely on board with, except for the option is Hillary. And I just... it's like... Oh, fuck. you know, it's like... Yeah. It's like having the option between eating Spam or Scrapple. Or Scrapple and liverwurst. If you don't know what those things are, those are like the worst forms of meat. Like Scrapple, liver, like, you know how like salami, that's really tasty, like mixed meat, or like, you know, sausages are really tasty mixed meat. Like Scrapple is like really like the ass ends of animals that gets turned into, I mean, something literally worse than bologna. Like actually like mentally worse than bologna. And that is a favorite thing. Like in like Maryland and like Northern Virginia, Scrapple is huge. And then like liverwurst is literally like liver bologna. Like a bologna made out of liver. And I feel like that is what our election has turned into. Do you want Scrapple or liverwurst? You're like, I don't want either. Oh, how did this happen? How did this election cycle happen? I don't know. Who knows? That's a funny thing. Everybody's like, yeah, now that Brexit went through, all those Americans will get their heads right, and they won't vote for Trump. And it was like, well, unfortunately, our option is Hillary. And that's the worst thing, too, as much as I talk about Obama. Because, again, I voted for Obama. And I voted for Obama for specific reasons. I wanted Guantanamo Bay closed. I think that is a disgrace for the United States. I wanted single-payer health care. I wanted a decent financial reform. I wanted a decent pull out of Iraq. I wanted a decent pull out of Afghanistan. Decent, smart, intelligent, not whatever the hell we had. And so, like I say, as a person who voted for Obama, now they're like, and look, you can vote for Hillary, and it'll be like Obama's third term. I'm like, no, no, you can't tell me. You cannot tell me this is the option. You cannot tell me the option is either Trump or a third term for Obama. That cannot possibly be the option we have. Oh my God. How the fuck did this happen? Can we have a do-over? I just feel like we need to go back. Anyways, who knows? Who knows what'll happen? So anyways, I've been blathering for an hour and 9 minutes, so we will call it a day. I will upload this video, and then the next video will be from my house again. Hopefully it's all upright and standing, nice and pretty. So we'll be back in Maryland. Anyways, with that, call it a day. See you tomorrow, or the next video, I guess.